What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of The Girl Who Talks Sports, the podcast where we talk sports and other girly things. I'm Sam Cardona, and thank you guys so much for listening today. So I think maybe you might be thinking, if you're a regular person watching on the YouTube channel, something looks a little different, Sam. I don't know what it is. Well, I will let you guys know that the arm of my microphone that usually sits in front of me fell off, and it's very hard to put back on, and so right now we have regressed back to the tripod that I used when I first started my podcast. So the microphone is sitting in front of me instead of like right in front of my face, so it's a little bit different, but if that's what you're wondering, that is the difference. So, as per usual, we have a great show lined up today. I had a great time talking to our guest this week. It was Her Sports Convo podcast with Ashleigh Wilson. She is super smart about football. She knows a lot of stuff, and we had a really great conversation. I'm really excited to get into today's interview. However, obviously, before we do all that, we have to get into our plug, so don't forget to follow us on and subscribe on all podcasting platforms. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever it is that you get your podcast from, you can find The Girl Who Talks Sports. And please make sure to leave a review as well. That's very helpful for me. And also don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Girl Who Talks Sports. I post extra content videos. I have posted 2 extra content videos in the last 2 weeks, including the sports movie bracket with Andy Hopper, who a lot of you will remember from an episode on my show. He hosts the Brew Party podcast. Really fun stuff. We put together this video of us going over this sports bracket that I made of sports movies. So it was really fun. It was really funny to make, and I really hope that you guys check that out. I will put it in the little thing that goes up here, that little pop-up. So make sure that you check out that extra content video. And finally, don't forget to follow us on social media. TGWTS Podcast is both our Twitter and our Instagram handle, so make sure that you check us out on both platforms. That's TGWTS Podcast, The Girl Who Talks Sports Podcast. Okay, so now that our plugs are done and our intro is finished, I want to take my energy down just a little bit before we get into our whole interview with Ashleigh. And obviously, as you can see, I have if you're watching on the YouTube channel, I have my 24 shirt on, my yellow 24 shirt on, because today is January 26th. And on January 26th, last year, we lost someone very special to not only the sports world, but I think to the world in general. We lost Kobe Bryant, as well as several other people in a horrific plane crash, including his daughter Gigi. And I kind of just wanted to do a quick little remembrance for this, because I remember last year being extremely upset about it, and I didn't think that I was going to be, to the point of tears. And I gotta say, it came to that point, and it's come to that point today as well. My counter is at 2 right now, just from watching things on Twitter and social media, seeing all of his, all these things of remembering him and Gigi and everybody that was on that plane. It's really sad. It's a sad day. It really is. And I wanted to just kind of share what I was doing at the time that I received this news, because obviously everyone always asks, what were you doing when you found out that this person passed away? It's kind of like, or what were you doing during 9/11? Like, that's always the thing people want to know, is like, what was going on in your life when you found out this news? And for me, I was driving to work. I was driving to South Jersey when I used to work at NFL Films, and I got a notification on my phone, which was sitting on my vent. And usually I don't really look at my phone when I'm driving, which I don't condone. Do not look at your phone while you're driving. But I happened to glance at it, and I saw the Kobe Bryant name, and I didn't read the whole thing. And I was like, oh, it's a basketball thing. He was just at the Laker game, like whatever. And then I started getting text messages and text messages and text messages. And I was like, why am I getting so many text messages right now? And I happened to glance at my text messages. Again, don't look at messages while you're driving, but I happened to look, and it was a text from my boyfriend saying, did you see what happened? And I was like, no. And finally, I kind of slowed down. I moved to the left lane so I could be slower and just kind of gently glance at my phone. And it said, the death of Kobe Bryant. And, that like, I was just like, wait a second. No, that's incorrect. That can't be right. Why would he die? Like, that was such a weird thing for me. And I finally eventually had to pull over because I wanted to read. I needed to see what was going on because this is a very big deal. And I saw, you know, that he was in this crash in Calabasas and his daughter was with him and there were other people on the plane and they were going to a basketball tournament and doing all this stuff. And it was emotional. I ended up, having to stop for gas anyway, so I pulled over again and I was doing more reading. More people were texting me, and I was responding to text messages and phone calls, and it was just like very weird. And the whole drive, I was probably about 20 minutes out from work, and when I got into work, which, I worked in an industry I still work in sports industry, but I was in a building with all of these people who know who Kobe Bryant is, and I walked into this building and it was eerily quiet. And I was very confused as to like where everybody was really. And usually the building is quiet. It's a quiet building, but I ended up walking and finding one of my superiors and him sitting there and he glanced at me with like this look that was just kind of almost like a puppy dog face. And he was like, so you heard? And I said, yeah, I like don't know what to do. And he said, there's nothing that we can do. And I was working for a television show at the time. So we were trying to figure out how to incorporate this into the television show because it's a sports show and the things that we can do that will be respectful and not over the top. And these people that they're going to talk about it and do all this stuff. So it was just weird. And I remember then walking into my room where I worked, and Jordan, who you guys know has been on my show before, we used to work together. She was in the room. Another editor that I worked with, Brian, was in the room. And we all just kind of looked at each other and we were like, what in the world is going on? Like, this is insane. We ended up having the TV on. We were watching these uncut, no commercial breaks of, people like Charles Barkley, people like Dwayne Wade coming together to talk about Kobe and processing their grief on live television, basically. And I'm like getting goosebumps just talking about all this, but I felt like it was something that needed to be remembered. And while that day was weird and upsetting and almost unrealistic, it didn't feel real for a long time. That Kobe Bryant was drafted in 1996. That is the year I was born. I had never known life without Kobe Bryant. And while I'm not a huge basketball fan, while I'm not a Laker fan or any of that stuff, you kind of attach yourself to these childhood athletes that you grow up with. And it hit me in a way I didn't think it would. And obviously being as tragic as it was as well is very upsetting. And his daughter being involved and seeing footage of the two of them from very recent of them talking on the sidelines and seeing Kobe giving his daughter tips on like, look how this person does this and how this person plays. And it was an eventful day, an emotional day, and it's still an emotional day. If you go on social media right now, it's very, very much somber. People are remembering. People are sharing stories like I am. And it's just really something that I don't think I've ever experienced before, as a death of someone that I don't know. Obviously, there have been deaths of celebrities all over the place. Tragic deaths of, from old age or whatever it is. And obviously, those are really sad. There was just something about this one that kind of brought the sports world together. And you never want to come together because of a death, but death really does bring people together. And it not only brought the basketball community together, it brought the entire sports community together. And Kobe, he's, kind of glancing over all of us right now, kind of saying like, you guys made it through the COVID pandemic. You guys made it through this, and you made it through 2020 and all this stuff. And it's it's heartwarming to think that, you know, him and Gigi are together and they're spending their time together, and that time is infinite at this point. And my heart goes out to Vanessa, his wife, and his other children, and how hard this day must be for them. And I'm sending all of my positive thoughts and all of my heartwarming feelings, and if I could give them a hug, I would, even though I don't even know them. So I really just wanted to share how this day has felt, not only to me, but the sports community as a whole. And I know this kind of brings the episode down a bit before we get into this very fun interview with Ashleigh, but it's something that needs to be talked about. And it's it is what it is. And it's a year later, and I'm sure this time next year it'll be just as upsetting as it was a year ago. So people are still processing their grief, and people are still doing whatever they need to do to feel better. But with a death like this, it's hard to quote unquote get over very quickly. So I hope that everyone's like kind of felt that, you know, if you want to chat about somebody who's passed away that you don't even know, everybody feels the same way. And I think that that's important. So I'm not going to go on anymore about this. I hope that, you know, everybody has like that story of, you know, where you were and what you were doing, and has this kind of like feeling that everybody can feel. And now I kind of feel weird jumping into this interview, but let's move on from Kobe. And again, I wish him and his, you know, his family and Vanessa and everyone just all of the love and all of the warmth towards them to go, you know, to make it through a year without, you know, their beloved husband and father. So let's get into, again, I'm trying to find a way to transition this. Let's talk about something a little bit more exciting, a little more uplifting. Let's talk about the championship games and the Super Bowl that we now have set. And here is the interview with Ashleigh Wilson, who is the host of the Her Sports Convo podcast, where we talk about Super Bowl and the championship games.
All right, everybody. This week on The Girl Who Talks Sports, we are joined by the lovely Ashleigh Wilson of Her Sports Convo podcast. Ashleigh, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Of course. We have a lot of things to talk about. Our Super Bowl is officially set for the NFL, and we're going to go over the two championship games. But before we get into all that, I want to hear a little bit about your podcast, how you got started, where people can find it, and things like that.
Yes, as Sam just said, my podcast is Her Sports Convo, and it's just me sitting in Apparel Studios, also known as my closet, fun fact. And, you know, I'm just kicking the gab, talking about sports, you know, making my corny jokes about things I see on the internet and things I feel that are, you know, important to say. And I also have guests on occasionally, and, you know, just people I find on the internet that just seem really cool. Something that I really enjoy about my podcast and why I started it is because, you know, I feel like a lot of females or people in general who don't fit the stereotypical athlete box, they feel uncomfortable speaking about sports and things with other people. And so, hey, I had something to say and I wanted to say it. And I want, you know, people who listen to my podcast to really, you know, I called it a conversation because I really want it to be a conversation. I talk to you, you talk to me, and we can have a conversation about sports. I talk about, you know, all the things from crazy things I see on Twitter to sports league that are just coming up to athletes who I think are doing amazing things and deserve a platform to be shared on. And if you're interested and that sounds something you want to do, come on over. We'll be more than happy to have you.
Yeah, it's a really great podcast. I was listening to it. It's also very to the point, which I love. You know, you put out what's going on, you give your opinion on it, and I love it. So, and that's why I asked you to come on today to talk some football, because, you know, this was a pretty eventful weekend, I think. You know, we have our Bucks Chiefs Super Bowl that to be quite honest with you, I'm not entirely excited about. I was hoping for a Packers-Bills Super Bowl, and we got the complete opposite.
Yeah, after the Bucks went, I was like, come on, Bills, y'all gotta do it, because who wants to see Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes? Like, ESPN wrote this up. Like,
Yeah.
they were like, okay, we're gonna have every cheesy headline, every Disney writer, we're gonna need you to come in here and we're gonna need you to turn it all the way up. Just turn it up.
Yeah, no, it's 100%. I already have seen like the goat versus the kid thing. That's gonna be milked for the next 2 weeks. It's gonna be crazy. But yeah, I was definitely rooting for the Bills in this game, but wasn't the best performance for them. But we'll get to that game in a little bit. I want to go over the Bucks and the Packers first, since that was the first game. So the Buccaneers beat the Packers 31-26. I kind of want to get your overall feeling on this game first before we get into specifics, and then kind of like, what did you think was going to happen before this game started?
Yeah, I was looking more forward to this game than I was the other game, because I was like, it's Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, two out of the best quarterbacks that are really playing right now, and it's like they kind of flip-flopped in the first and second half. Tom Brady was going off, he was everything, bop, 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 and then Aaron was like, what are we doing? Aren't you Mr. MVP? Like, come on now. And
right.
Then, we go over to the second half and they switched it off. Tom Brady threw 3 interceptions. Aaron Rodgers was actually, making his strides. But yeah, I think it was a good game, and all it encompassed it. And especially there at the end, I really thought, the Packers were going to come back and win it all.
Yeah. And like the end of that game caused me so much anxiety watching it, because I was like, oh my God, let's talk about that for a second. So obviously the whole thing with this ending was that the Bucks were down. Like, they obviously needed to score a touchdown in order to even compete in this game. We see Aaron Rodgers running around. It was very obvious he could have run it in for a touchdown, and he didn't, and he ended up throwing it. And then obviously what ended up coming out of that was they kicked a field goal.
A field goal.
And that did absolutely nothing for them. It didn't do anything. What are you doing?
Like what is happening? When you sit down and you think about, it's one, like let's take everything out of account. Like Aaron Rodgers, the Green Bay Packers, you're going up against Tom Brady. This is the game to win, to go to the Super Bowl. You're going to try everything in your possibilities to get in there and win the game, which is not give the ball back to the other team when there's more or less 2 minutes on the clock, when they can just have a first down, game's over. You're going to go for the touchdown.
Yeah, and the thing was too, like, if you're not going to give the ball back to anybody, it's Tom Brady. Like, you don't want him in the last 2 minutes left in this game to have the ball in his hands again. Like, it was over. The second that they kicked that field goal, I was like, they're not going to win this game. There's no way.
It's over. You don't give the ball back to Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, or Drew Brees, because they're clutch. Right. And I feel like Patrick Mahomes have owned it now. We can put him in that club now too. You just don't do that. And when you have Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback, like, what else makes you think, let's kick a field goal? Now, I understand last week we were all looking at, the Chiefs, like, they were crazy because they let Henny go out there and take the 4th and 1, because that didn't make sense logistically. But you have Aaron Rodgers.
I know. And the thing is too, Aaron Rodgers has taken touchdowns by himself this entire season. He's done, he's run around and done his thing this entire season. And I actually just saw the still of what the defense was doing when he could have run it in, and it was wide open. It was
wide open.
Very easy. That Aaron Rodgers could have easily just slid his way in there and scored a touchdown, and possibly could have went to the Super Bowl instead of Tom Brady. And he even said that, in the post game, he was like, yeah, like, that wasn't my choosing. Like, they should have gone for it on 4th down. And it was Matt LaFleur that decided they were going to kick the field goal. So I think that there's a little animosity now between them, or in this organization at least, just because of that.
Oh yeah. I mean, if you looked at that presser, Aaron was sitting in that chair like, I'm over it. I want to go home. I'm over this. Let's wrap it up. And Matt LaFleur was like, yeah, I think we did the best that we could. And you know, we have to grow and learn from these experiences. Common shit should have told you, go for the touchdown. Like, I literally almost put a hole in the ground when I saw Aaron Rodgers standing there throwing the ball. I was like, it's wide open. Like, Alexa, play the Chicks, wide open spaces, because what else are we supposed to be doing right now?
No, it was infuriating to watch. It was upsetting to watch because everybody knew that the Packers could have won this game. And then it was, you know, everybody, including myself, who, you know, I grew up a Giants fan. I don't like Tom Brady. I don't like the Patriots. And it moved on to the Buccaneers. I don't want to see the Buccaneers win because I don't want to see Tom Brady win. So nobody wants to see Tom Brady win another Super Bowl. We're over it at this point. And they just keep showing up all the time.
Exactly.
His 10th Super Bowl. His 10th Super Bowl. I am like perplexed. And the thing is too, no in the distance, nothing of retiring.
Oh,
ever.
Most definitely. I mean, why would you? Why would you retire? You're almost 45 years old and you're winning. You're basically winning Super Bowl games. Like, why stop?
Yeah, no, it's really just like perplexing. That whole last part of that game was really tough to watch. And another part of this game too was the referees. There was a lot of calls that weren't being called. They were kind of filling that let them play mentality throughout the game. And then towards the end, all of a sudden, they're calling all these flags on the Packers, of course.
Of course.
And I was like, what is going on here? There was like a holding call, which obviously was holding, but the same holding call was, you know, they had done holding earlier and they didn't call that.
All day long.
So like, what do you think would have happened if, you know, this game was fairly called, I should say?
But let's let your listeners know, I'm a ref and I try my hardest not in football because that's a whole lot of running, not for me, but in volleyball. And I try very hard, you know, not to bad the rest. But like the one thing they teach anybody, I feel like if you're, you know, refereeing PV, is don't insert yourself in the game. Don't like determine how the outcome should be. And that's exactly what they did. Like, okay, you're not going to call holds. You're not going to call pass interference whole game. Don't wait till there's 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter on the NFC Championship where somebody's going to go to the Super Bowl and then decide, let's use this whistle I haven't used all day.
I know. And the thing is too, I think maybe they called like 6 flags like total of the whole game. Like the halftime rolled around and I was like, they haven't called a penalty like this whole game, which is good for us because as watchers, you know, you want to just see them play. You don't want to see flags all the time unless it'll help you out, you know.
Yeah.
You don't want to see like, oh, he was holding minimally, you know, they're going to call, like, you don't care. You're like, just let them play and let them. And that was what was going down. And then all of a sudden they're calling all these things. And I think you're absolutely right that, you know, if you're just calling plays and you're doing your job, that's fine. But once you insert yourself into the game and it basically completes the outcome, it's a whole different thing. It's reminding me of that pass interference call from the Saints and Rams game from 2 years ago when they missed that pass interference call and made the Rams go to the Super Bowl to play Tom Brady instead of Drew Brees, which was the most boring Super Bowl of all time.
Ever. In my opinion, ever. Yes. I mean, what was his final score? Like 13-3 or something? Yep. Ridiculous. It was so boring. And as people who are like live for the Super Bowl there the whole year, and then you get given that, it's literally getting coal in your socket on Christmas. Like,
yes,
I waited all
exactly.
year for this.
I know, you wait all this time and you get that, but this game really just like, it threw me for a loop because I picked the Packers to win and genuinely thought the Packers were going to win. And, you know, like we were saying earlier, they definitely could have. If they made that play at the end, they could have won the game. And now, like we were talking about in this post-game thing, Aaron Rodgers is talking about his uncertain future. Like, what do you think is going to go on in the offseason for the Packers?
I don't think Aaron's going to leave. I mean, he's been there this long. And I think he likes the role he's in now, where he's kind of, because they drafted Jordan Love last year in this past draft, and Aaron didn't blink an eye because Aaron knew they're paying hundreds of $1 millions for me. They're not going to not let me play, but he likes the culture in there. He's been there forever, but I really feel like he's going to insert himself in this offseason and really, say, we need someone making the plays that's not Matt LaFleur. And I need to be right. I need to be in connection with them because that cannot happen again. Because, in the press conference, he said he didn't know that they weren't going to go for it on fourth down. He thought he had 4 plays to play with, and he only had 3, and he would have called a different call on third down.
Right. Yeah. A lot of these veteran quarterbacks are kind of in control of this offense. That's, I think even Bruce Arians talked about Tom Brady and how he's like, yeah, I don't even coach. He just goes off and does his thing, which, how could you not let Tom Brady run his own offense? But the same thing goes for Aaron Rodgers, I think. I think that he's smart and he's been in the league for a while. He's a veteran. Let him call the plays. And there have been times where him and Matt LaFleur just don't seem to agree on things. I think they have a decent relationship. I just don't think that they're on the same offensive level. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it totally makes sense because when they brought in Matt LaFleur, you could see the tension that first year. Like Brady, Rodgers was like, you brought in a child to coach me. Like, I'm Aaron Rodgers. He's a child. I'm Aaron Rodgers. I need an adult. And I feel like they've bridged the gap now and they finally figured it out, like, hey, we can work together. But I do feel like this is going to be a big issue in their relationship because every quarterback, every player, even when you're 3 years old learning how to throw the football, you think of going to the Super Bowl. And when you could have won, and miscommunication between the coach, the offensive coordinator, whoever's calling the plays, and your quarterback and what's happening on the field, you just don't get over that.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's and Aaron Rodgers, again, like, he was ready to go on fourth down, and that just wasn't given to him. But I'm curious though. So I think that he's going to stay as well. I don't really think he's going anywhere. I think his contract is up this year. He's probably just making a little bit of a fuss, so maybe it gets him a little bit more money or something. They want him to stick around. But if he were to leave, do you think that there would be a place where he would do well or he would flourish? The teams that don't have a quarterback right now?
Oh yeah, I feel like Drew Brees leaving the Saints, if that is what's going to happen, I really do feel like Aaron Rodgers would make a great, accompaniment because they have relatively the same style games. They play relatively the same way, and he has so much respect for Sean Payton, and I feel like they would, Sean Payton knows I have a greatest of all of time, Hall of Famer quarterback coming in, one just left. I know that I have to respect him and take his opinion. And Aaron Rodgers is the guy everyone loves. Like, you don't hear anyone talking like crazy things about Aaron Rodgers. So if he comes into town, you're gonna be like, okay, bye Drew, hello Aaron, like, let's hey, somebody else I can get back of.
Yeah, 100%. That would be actually pretty interesting to see Aaron Rodgers connecting with someone like Michael Thomas in the end zone. That would be really exciting to see. But I do agree with you though. I really don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to go anywhere. He loves Green Bay. He loves playing there. The offseason might be a little interesting. Maybe they'll, throw some headlines out there that's like, oh, Aaron's looking at someplace else or this or that. But I don't see him going anywhere else. It's just, it feels wrong.
Yeah, he'll probably like put something under like the Houston, Texas like Instagram comment and be like, "Oh no, nice view today." Like,
oh yeah, he would do some petty thing like that.
I would too.
Yeah. Aaron Rodgers, I feel like, has a little bit of sass in him that he would do something like that would just like stir the pot a little bit, and he would just be like, "Oh wow, New England is nice this time of year," or something like that.
I like the snow. I like the cold.
Yeah, no, it could be pretty interesting. But overall in this game, I think the Green Bay Packers were not playing to the best of their abilities in terms of, I think Aaron did a very good job, but his offensive line was not there. He was getting thrown to the ground. He was running all over the place and just like wasn't looking good at all. And it's like he was getting no help out there, in my opinion.
Not at all. I literally was sitting there. I was like, did y'all have like a meeting and forget to like tell Aaron that like we're over this, we're done with this season, we're ready to go to Cabo. I'm done in the cold. I'm ready to go get a tan. Because you could see like in his face how he was getting so frustrated with the penalties and, you know, people not catching the ball and people running the wrong routes. And it looked crazy.
Yeah, no, it really did. And like every single time that the Buccaneers defense, which is a very good defense, was penetrating through their offensive line, I was like, Aaron needs time to throw. He needs that extra second to get the ball down the field. And he just didn't have it. And I think that was also part of it. Like this line was just not working for him. And obviously David Bakhtiari, who's like his main center, wasn't in this game. He's been hurt for the last couple of weeks. He wasn't going to play. So that was probably a factor, but it was really painful. And again, could have won this game. Really could have.
I'm a big Aaron Rodgers fan over here, and I was sad. I was like, y'all really gonna do my man Aaron like that? Y'all just gonna leave him out there for the win? Like, come on now.
No, I know. I love Aaron Rodgers too. He's one of my favorite quarterbacks, and it's like him and Drew Brees are like my two favorite guys, and now one of them's gone, and I'm like, oh my God, I have only Aaron to hold on to. And I think he's like 1-4 in NFC Championship games, which is so sad because he was so hyped to have the NFC Championship in Green Bay for I think the first time in his career. And it just disappeared to Tom Brady.
Tom just had it during the NFC. I know he was mad. He was scrolling through Twitter like, oh, this is fake. This is fake. He DM'd Tom. He was like, Tom, are you really in Tampa? Like, come on now. Why would you do that to me? I thought we were friends.
I know. And to talk about Tom Brady in this game as well, I mean, he did throw, I think, 3 interceptions. And Green Bay just couldn't capitalize on them. I think one of them they did.
He put on his best Jameis Winston impression and still is going to win the Super Bowl MVP.
No, he really did, though. He was just like tossing these interceptions, and every time I was like, this is it. They're going to capitalize on this. They're going to march their way down the field and score a touchdown. And it just didn't happen. And I was like, you're Aaron Rodgers and you're one of the best offenses in the league. Like, this Buccaneers defense really must be like absolutely stellar that they just were able to stop them.
Like no discrediting the Bucs defense, but like I said, if you watched it, you saw the offense. They were looking like chickens with their head cuts off. It looked like the first game and not the last game, to be honest.
Yeah. It really, and the thing is too, a lot of people were saying, because I think the Buccaneers played the Packers, and it was like 38-10 was the final score in the regular season. And a lot of people were saying this looks just like that game. And I was like, how can you play that game against Tom Brady in the regular season? You're not even playing, postseason Tom Brady. And you play the same way. Like, how could you not learn from your mistakes from the first time?
Like the biggest thing in sports is you let them beat you once. You can't let them beat you twice. Like, it's the hardest thing to beat a team twice. And they basically laid down. It was like, y'all can't stop us. We're not even gonna try no more. And y'all were like, okay, whatever. Y'all have fun in Tampa. Hope you have a good time.
Yeah, no, and obviously Buccaneers making Super Bowl history, being able to play the Super Bowl in their own stadium, which is perplexing to me. I believe it's the first time ever.
Yeah.
So they are going to be rested. They don't have to travel. They don't have to go anywhere. Like, I'm just, of course, Tom Brady would pick the place. He literally like closed his eyes and pointed and was just like, oh, Tampa Bay. Okay, it's warm there. I like that. Okay, I'll retire there. And then just goes and was like, hey, you guys want to win a Super Bowl? Let's go.
I mean, like, I wish we had footage of all the people who were on Tampa when Tom was like, I'm going to Tampa, because I know that was priceless, because you were like, oh, we're going to the Super Bowl, no question about it.
Yeah, I mean, like, how can you not think, like, he's out for like revenge, he's coming out of a toxic relationship, if you will, and he's just like, I'm gonna do better, I'm gonna look great, I'm gonna be tan all year round because I'm living in Florida, And I'm going to go out there and I'm going to be Tom Brady without, my ex Bill Belichick. And Bruce Arians, who I think him and Tom don't have like the most secure relationship, but they just kind of do what they got to do, were able to do it. And that they literally made it to the Super Bowl again. Not Tampa Bay, but Tom Brady.
Yeah, but basically, we all know when we say again, it's Tom. Like, it's Tom and Friends. That's how I see it. It's the Tampa Bay Tom and Friends. It's not the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's the Tampa Bay Tom and Friends.
Yeah, no, it's really just insane. And overall, I think Packers could have won, and they just got outcoached, or their coaches just didn't show up. And the Buccaneers took advantage of that and came out on top. Because there's nothing else really to be said except that I'm disappointed.
Same.
Yeah. All right. I do want to talk about this Bills-Chiefs game as well. So, again, overall thoughts and what did you feel like before this game had started?
Going in, I thought that the Bills were going to put up a tough fight, but you can't stop that Chiefs offense. You can't. And even though the Bills have progressed so much from when Josh Allen showed up in Buffalo, they're still a young team. They have, pretty much young-ish coaches. I mean, Sean McDermott isn't that young, but, all of them working together. It's still a new, fresh relationship. And the Chiefs have been doing this since God knows when. They've been running over people like it's for fun. But I definitely, kind of expected it to go the way it did. Thought it'd be a little bit closer, but yeah, I knew the Chiefs were going to pull it out.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted the Bills to win. I think I picked a Super Bowl choice with my heart instead of my head. I think that I was like, yeah, Packers, Bills, it's going to be great. And then once the Buccaneers won, I was like, you know what? The Bills-Buccaneers game is still going to be really good because the Bills go their whole, the past 20 years, they've been versing this man in the AFC East, and then of course they end up finally they win, they're getting down, and then they would come to the Super Bowl and beat, play the same man who they've been playing for the past 20 years in their division. But I was very disappointed as well in this team. And there were so many things that went wrong. So what do you think was the biggest thing that happened to this Bills team, like that made them lose this game?
They got blinded in the lights. The lights were too bright for them. The lights were too bright for them on Sunday, and they got blinded. You could see that, especially in Josh Allen. Josh Allen has played exceptional in every game this season. And last night, he looked like a little kid. He looked like a little kid trying to play a grown man's game. And it really came back and bought him. He was laser throwing balls 100 miles an hour that were just little shuttle passes. Like, come on now. I mean, obviously, I can't do it. But if you give me enough tries, I can figure it out.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
And then especially, when your quarterback is, the leader of the team and he's showing all that anxiousness, it obviously rubs off on people. And as you can see how it kind of like ended in the hot mess it did, they were really riled up. And, when your leader shows that he's not confident in himself or in his abilities or in the preparation y'all spent all year working on, it shows up in what it did on Sunday night. And
yeah, no, I really saw Josh Allen trying his best. I really think Josh Allen went out into this game and was like, okay, I'm going to do everything I can. And, I think even over the course of this playoff run they've had, I mean, with the Colts and the Ravens, Josh Allen was panicky. He was struggling. And I think that their defense saved him a lot of the time, that just stopped the other team from scoring points, basically. And he was struggling. And that's kind of like what we've seen even last playoff game, the one playoff game that they did play. He just freaks out. And he's like, oh my God, if I lose this game, it's over. And I think that he went into this game, and I think that kind of pushed off on the rest of his players as well. Everybody was super nervous. Everyone was freaking out. He could not connect with his receivers. I saw Stephon Diggs do absolutely nothing after he's had this immaculate season. Nothing.
At all. I was shocked because I'm also a Stephon Diggs fan. And right. I'm like, you can only do so much when, the quarterback got to throw the ball to you, but you running an inside route and he's throwing an outside pass is not going to get it done. It's not going to get it done. And I know you're athletic and all these abilities, but no one's out here Chester the Cheeto. No one's out here the road runner. Come on now. You gotta figure it out. And Josh Allen is the quarterback, but he's the oldest person in that relationship. Like, you gotta, even though this is both y'all's first experience, you gotta be the elder in that situation and calm him down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that just wasn't happening. And I think even I just read an article earlier today that Cole Beasley was playing with a broken fibula, I think. Like, he went back into this game. The only person that he seemed to be able to throw the ball to who could actually catch it was playing with a broken leg. So it just goes to show they were riding the struggle bus really hard. And it was him and like Dawson Knox, his tight end, were like the only two guys that could actually catch the ball and do it. And I think the best part of their game was that muffed punt that the Chiefs messed up on, and they were capitalizing on that. And that was it. That was the only good part of this game for the Bills, at least.
Yeah, they did a good job executing on the Chiefs' mistakes. But the issue was the Chiefs only had two. And when you play a game like that, you can't win it because you're depending on the other team to help you out. And when the other team doesn't help you out, you end up losing because you're not doing what you need to do to get it done. And Josh Allen, he struggled passing the ball to everyone. Everyone was dropping the ball. Running game was not existed in this game for the Bills. But when you come with running lines and all this stuff, it comes down to your O-line. And the Bills O-line is just not there yet. It's not there. He didn't have time. He's not a get it out of your hand fast quarterback to get it. That's not Josh Allen. And when you don't have that protection, it breaks down and he has to scramble and run for plays. But everyone on the Chiefs knows this man's going to kill you with your legs. So what we're going to do, hold you in the pocket. And it was a mess.
Yeah. Literally, that was my entire thought that game. I was just like, if you looked at Josh Allen's back, it was covered in grass stains because all he did was getting pushed to the ground. His offensive line wasn't there. His offensive line was doing absolutely nothing for him. And he's a big guy, though. He's like 6'5", 230-something pounds. Like, it was hard for the defenders to take him down, but they were still getting like 2 or 3 people on Josh Allen that, I don't care how strong you are, 2 or 3 defenders coming at you, you're going to get down on the ground at some point.
Oh, yeah.
And he just kept falling and falling. He wasn't given the time, like you were saying. Like, you hit it right on the head there. That was their big problem, I think. He just couldn't get the ball out of his hands. And when he did, it was either inaccurate or his receivers couldn't catch it. And that was just the bottom line of it all. And he even rushed, like 7 times, almost 100 yards. And they were trying to stop him there. Eventually he was rushing and doing all this stuff because he was like, there's nothing else I can do. There's no one I can throw to. There's nobody that is blocking for me. Like, I just got to take off to get a first down. And you could tell he was getting tired. And like, how are you supposed to win a game by yourself?
Yeah, in the fourth quarter, he went full on panic. I'm going to just figure out how to do it by myself. And I feel like that was even worse than what was happening in the first half because it helped them in some of the plays. They really depended on big plays. The big 30-yard throw to Stephon Diggs, that really what keeps their offense running. And they couldn't get that. They just had that one long play to Stephon in the third or fourth quarter. And that really hurt them because, that's their game. And the Bills have a lot of potential.
Yes.
But they just need to figure out how to like contain the teen angst in a way and like make it, professional footballs that can win games when, it's that crunch time.
Yeah, 100%. This is a very young team. And I don't think this is the last time we see them in an AFC Championship game. And, we saw, I think, a little bit of animosity between the Bills and the Chiefs, at least in the Bills offense and Chiefs defense towards the end of this game. There was like 3 minutes left in this game, which stretched it on for an extra like 20 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
That, basically what went down is the defender took down Josh Allen. Josh Allen kind of chucked the ball, hit him in the head. He's standing over him. And obviously your offensive line wants to protect your quarterback even when they're not playing, pushes this defender to the ground. It's like ridiculous. They sat there and were chatting. Like the referees were having a gossip session. They were like, ooh, like who started it? Who's doing this? Writing everything down on a piece of paper, giving out penalties that eventually just completely just didn't matter, had nothing to do. But I mean, I saw a lot of heat in this game. And since we were talking about the Bills eventually, coming back, I think, to the AFC Championship, and the Chiefs, I don't think are going anywhere either. Do you see this rivalry just like throughout the next couple years of these two quarterbacks' futures?
I wouldn't necessarily call it a rivalry, but you're dealing with grown men whose tempers are like this big. And, for all of you who didn't see that, my fingers were very close together. And, they're playing for a game that's going to, either end their season or take their dreams to where they've been dreaming since they were 2 years old. Right. And when you see somebody like slam dunk your quarterback for no reason at the end of the game when they obviously know they're going to win, you get upset. I was like, hey, I'll even go out there. I mean, what was I going to do in that situation? Nothing, because they would have tore me up. But I was ready to go out there and defend Josh Allen. I mean, come on now. But you don't have a rivalry just because you have one game that just doesn't turn out. You have to. And I think maybe it could be a rivalry if the game was a little closer. If the game was a little closer and we had a little bit more drama other than them fighting each other, definitely could have had a rivalry. But I'm going to have to see them play each other like 2 or 3 more times. Definitely probably going to be the first Sunday night football game or Monday night football game of next week. Definitely next season.
Yeah. I'm excited to see these two teams go up against each other again, because I do think that the Bills are going to take this loss and like literally internalize it and just work at it in this entire offseason. And, Josh Allen's going to try and do everything in his power to make things better. And, Stephon Diggs was even the only Bills player to stand out after everybody had left. He watched the trophy ceremony for the Chiefs. He was just standing out on the field with his hands on his hips. That's all fuel for this offseason to be like, this is like this game for the Bills that's going to, well, we'll see, turn everything around. But overall, this Bills team had so much potential, and I think that they just struggle in, like you were saying, the lights were too bright, and they just couldn't perform, especially against a team like the Chiefs.
Yeah, I want to ask you a question. How do you feel when they show the little videos of the athletes sitting there, when the teams won the championship? I always wonder, like, does that really fuel them, or does that is it just like, I'm a capture this? Because we live in the world today where you can just watch it on the internet. And right. I played sports before. I never sat there and watched the other team get their trophy because I'm already mad. That's just going to make me more mad. And when I see you in the parking lot, I'm going to want to turn over your table. Like, come on now. There's no need to do that.
Yeah, no, I think that when they're kind of, when I'm saying fuel them, I'm thinking they're thinking about that loss and everything they did wrong. But when they're just sitting on the side like that, you just feel bad for them. And I wouldn't want to sit there and watch another team win and get a trophy and get, the confetti falling around you isn't your team colors. And it's everybody's cheering and it's not for you. I would just be depressed. I would just be I want to leave. I want to go home. Take a nap, eat some dinner.
I'm going to the locker room. I got to call my mom. Mom, did you see them? They won. They beat us. My dream is over.
No, I can totally remember a time when I used to play softball in middle school, and we lost the game that would bring us to the championship game. And the whole other team is cheering and exciting. And I'm walking back to the car with my mom and I'm like, this is awful. Why is this a thing that I should be going through right now at 11 years old? This is sucky. I don't want to hear them cheering because they're going to the championship games. I wouldn't want to be the Bills.
Oh yeah, those are the worst. Where they had and then especially the moms, they had those cute little moms cheers we go team, we got it, we gonna get it. Those are the worst. Those are the worst.
And then when you're driving around too, and you see like a minivan with the paint on their car, that's just like, this school's going to the championship. And I'm like, yeah, I know. We lost to that team.
You're like, somebody could get me a water hose because this is unnecessary.
Just got to spray it down. It's easy. It comes off real easy. But yeah, I mean, we're talking a lot about the Bills. Let's talk a bit about Patrick Mahomes here. Patrick Mahomes, the star of the show, basically, concussed last week, turf toe, which hurts a lot more than I think a lot of people think that it would. Like, you basically can't push off of your toes when you have turf toe. So, what did you think of Patrick Mahomes' performance? Did we see him at 100%? Did we see him maybe, partially Patrick Mahomes?
I feel like Patrick Mahomes did a good job. Seeing Patrick Mahomes do obviously better in games, but he knew, and I feel like the Chiefs knew especially, that they didn't have to, go deep in their playbook for this game because they knew what they were going up against, and they also knew what they had. Like, they could do, the first 11 pages of the playbook and they were going to be all right. And you could obviously see that because sometimes the Chiefs, they go out there and they do some pretty, fun plays, and they were running basic coverages, wheel routes, pop out, just some very basic things. And turf toe does hurt. As someone who has it, the last thing you want to do is walk. So I could not imagine dropping back, throwing passes, all that good stuff. And he did a good job for the circumstances he did, but I feel like he also protected himself because he knew what was coming next and that it knew more, that it had way more importance than being Buffalo right here, right now.
Yeah, the Patrick Mahomes, I think, you can hurt him all you want. You can say, whatever you want about him being concussed or whatever, but he showed up. He played this game, the same Patrick Mahomes that we've been seeing, and he continues to just be incredible. He really does. He just does. I think he had 325 yards, 3 touchdowns. It just he had a fantastic game. I think the only thing about his game that was different in this one was he didn't run as much. I think because of the concussion. He got that concussion last week because he was running for a first down. He ended up getting tackled the wrong way. It wasn't any fault on the defender, but it just, it's football. Things happen like that. But I think that his run game is a little bit slower. I think he only ran 4 or 5 times. And, there are times when the Chiefs rely on Patrick Mahomes running, a yard or 2 for a first down. And it didn't happen as much in this game, I noticed.
Yeah, they were. That's something good to point out, but when you have Tyreek Hill and, you got Clyde Edwards-Helaire out there, Patrick was like, I don't need to go out here and run because I have Travis Kelce, who I can just, you saw that little underhanded throw pass he did in the first half. I was like, now this man is out here having too much fun. He was like, I'm gonna bring it down to y'all level so we can have a little fun today.
Right. Yeah. No, that was the Chiefs having fun. They really just thoroughly enjoyed playing that game. And Travis Kelce, oh my God, just this man is enormous. He is a tight end. He is huge. And yet he runs around like a wide receiver and just appears places. All of a sudden, Patrick's just throwing the ball. I'm like, who's he throwing to? And there's Travis Kelce just running across the field to catch the ball for Patrick Mahomes. And I'm like, he's probably the best tight end in this entire league.
Oh,
insane.
No doubt about it. He's what every person who wants a tight end or wants to be a tight end, I personally feel like should look up to, because the tight end role doesn't give as much credit as they deserve. I feel like for a long time when people thought of tight ends, they really, focused on Gronk. But Gronk, and then when you see Gronk, you just think of the big kind of player on offense who could, run 10 yards down the field. But Travis Kelce's bigger than that. He can do big plays, short plays, blocking. That's such an important role that tight ends really need to focus on, is their blocking abilities, and he's got it down packed. The big run that Hardman went on in the second half, that was because Travis Kelce had the block on the outside and he was able to run for another 10 or 15 yards.
Yeah.
Travis Kelce, MVP? Not this year though, because it's going to Aaron, but next year, let him have a good season.
100%. Yeah, it's definitely going to Aaron this year, and I think that'll cheer Aaron up a little bit after his loss. But yeah, you're 100% right. Travis Kelce is big enough to block and be a strong enough blocker to like cause something like a 15-yard run, which is a huge run, down the field, and then also be able to run around and do a play where Patrick Mahomes just flips him the ball and he falls into the end zone, which I think they were talking about, and I think it's called the smoked sausage. I think that's the name of that play. Because Tony Romo and Jim Nantz on the announcing were just like, yeah, here's the smoked sausage. And I was like, the what? You just said what?
We out here making breakfast.
I know, yeah. Next week they're gonna show up and they're gonna be like, this is the crispy bacon and the cheesy omelet. Like, I'm getting hungry.
we running the McDonald's 2 for $4. Come on, y'all. Come on. We running the McDonald's 2 for $4. You want honey mustard or barbecue sauce?
I know, it was hilarious, but Travis Kelce really was a big part of this game. Very important to this game. And even Hardman, who was the one who had that muffed punt that the Bills capitalized on, and we really thought, oh, this is going to get interesting. He made up for it and really was just taking off down the field every moment he could and was just doing amazing. And then, of course, Tyreek Hill, who is the fastest man ever, I feel like, apart from Usain Bolt. Like, he is ridiculous.
Like, the one thing I'm upset about is because I know that he's not going to probably be able to participate in the Olympics if they do happen this year. And that's a shame because this man, I know he could take America to new heights. He's going to be record setting because he said that he was going to play or participate in the 2020 Olympics, but life happened. And I truly think like he could be a Super Bowl MVP in my opinion, because he has so much impact on the game and also an Olympic gold medalist.
Right. No, I could see that. I could see Tyreek Hill, going into the Olympics and like easily winning a gold medal. Like the agility that he has on this field, the way that he is both able to juke and then take off is incredible. And watching him every single week, I know that he's had his things in the past where, he's had some trouble with the law and, who's accusing him of what. But on the field, that man is incredible and really just like, I think every time we see him running, like, and if I'm watching the game with my dad, he's like, man, that guy's fast. Like, you can't unsee how fast he is.
I mean, you really can't. I mean, and then especially with your app being Cheetah, like you have to live up to that. You can't just be out here calling yourself the Cheetah and you're over here walking like Tony the Tiger. Like that, that just don't add up.
Yeah, he is the Cheetah. And, with even Patrick Mahomes, maybe he wasn't at 100% in this game, but these guys made him look like he was at 100%. And they were able to capitalize on things. They were able to do everything that they needed to do to then they were down 9-0 beginning of this game. Bills were winning. And I was like, wow, what a start. What a, and I don't like to, just off the bat say, oh, this is it. That's it. But because Patrick Mahomes, as different as they are, he's a little similar to Tom Brady in the fact that like he might start out slow, but you get him, you have him going down that field and down to the end of that game, he will show up and he will do everything in his power to win a game.
They showed up and showed out. And the scary part about it is we all know that's not their best.
Yeah. Yeah. They slowed it down towards the end because they knew they were going to win. They slowed it down because they saw the Bills weren't going to score. And they were like, oh, they're just going to kick another field goal. And like Matt LaFleur, like who thought that was a good idea? Like, you're in the AFC Championship game. You're going to play in the Super Bowl if you win this game. And you think that you can kick a field goal more than once? That's not how you win these games. You have to take risks. You have to go for it on 4th down. Like, again, mobile quarterback. Josh Allen could take the ball.
Like, with 3 timeouts left, that'll never make sense to me. Like there's no explanation you could give me saying you thought you had another chances, you believed in your defense. I can believe in my defense all day long. They could be the best defense in the world. But guess what? I have Aaron Rodgers out here okay, so what? We don't get it. We got to at least try. Ain't that what, everybody been saying since the start of time? You never know unless you try. And no matter what happened, they were going to need a touchdown anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It just, the field goals weren't working for me in either of these games. I needed more risks. I needed for them to go on it on fourth down and, just try harder. Really. Just, this is not a regular season game, which I think both the Packers and the Bills were playing that level, that it was a regular season game. And obviously it showed out because now neither of them are in the Super Bowl.
Lost.
So let's just talk about some Super Bowl stuff before we wrap it up. So we have the Bucs and we have the Chiefs. First things first, who do you think's going to win?
Now, if y'all are out there betting people, do not take my advice, because if you go listen to my podcast, I'm very bad at these things. So, but I feel like, it's going to be a very close game, but I feel like the Chiefs offense is just going to niche out the Buccaneers defense. Like, it is going to be anywhere between 6 to 8 points is going to be the score differential, but the Chiefs are going to come out on top.
Okay. Yeah. See, the thing is that, I really want the Chiefs to win at this point. I think the rest of the nation will also be rooting for the Chiefs as well. I have been looking like a fool this entire year because I keep betting against Tom Brady. I keep saying, oh no, this is a different team. This isn't the Patriots. This is, and then Tom Brady will just show up out of the blue and just prove me wrong, like he did last week, like he did the previous weeks. I have such a hard time now betting against him. And while I think it's going to be a shootout, I really think that it's going to go back and forth in this game. I think it's going to come down to, who has the most experience in certain areas, coming down to the last 2 minutes of in the fourth quarter, and you're, maybe a field goal away from winning. I think Tom Brady is going to have that little bit more experience in him, a little bit more, like 20 years more than Patrick Mahomes. And he's going to show up and he's going to end up winning this game. I don't want that to happen. I just want to be clear. I have a Patrick Mahomes t-shirt that I will be wearing on February 7th. But I just think that, I don't know. I feel like I can't bet against Tom anymore. He just keeps making me look so stupid all the time.
Morale is low in the We Hate Tom Brady club, so we just disbanded.
Yeah. But the thing is too, I mean, we saw the Chiefs play the Buccaneers week 12, I believe. And the Chiefs won by 3 points. And I think that that's going to be the same thing. It's going to come down to that. And if the Chiefs don't come out swinging, if they don't come out putting points on the board the second that they hit the grass, Tom Brady is going to nickel and dime them and play his way down the field. And he's just going to keep, putting, 3 points, 6 points, 7 points on the board. And all of a sudden, you're at a 27-point game or something like that. And the Chiefs are like, whoa, how do we catch up to him? So
yeah, I'm saying this right here, right now. If the Chiefs don't win the coin flip, they're not going to win the game.
That's what I'm saying. It's literally going to come down to who ends up with the ball in the last couple seconds of this game. If Tom Brady has the ball and is down by, a touchdown, he's getting down the field and he's going to score, and then he'll convert a 2-point conversion to beat you by 1 point.
The best chance that either one of these teams and either one of these defense has is to let the game come down to a field goal, because they're both playing with very new, very fresh to the league kickers. And that's the only way how, maybe possibly you can't leave it up to Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady. You have to give it up to the kickers, because you put it in their hands, it's over.
Yeah, 100%. And the defenses as well. I think both of these defenses are going to do everything in their power to stop either of these quarterbacks, because they have the same thing, that they're like, these guys are going to throw the ball and they are going to do crazy plays and they're going to get down the field and they're going to score. Simplistically, our job is to not let them do that. So I think that we saw it with this Buccaneers defense, And we saw it even when the Buccaneers were playing the Saints. They made Drew Brees turn the ball over 4 times, which is crazy because it's Drew Brees. And, they made him look so awful in his last game, probably ever, which is so sad. But I just, this Chiefs defense as well, very good. Steve Spagnuolo, their defensive coordinator, intelligent, very smart, can do everything in his power to basically, get the job done. But it's going to be a good game. I think it really will be.
It's going to be a good one. I mean, I'm going to be very upset if it is not. Let me tell you, I will call up Sam and I'll be like, girl, we got to talk about this because this is a mess. This is a mess. In the year we haven't, and all the things these players had to do to get to this Super Bowl, and y'all gonna have the audacity to come out here and play like this. I'm gonna be mad.
No, I literally, if they show up and it's gonna be like, either one or the other, like just showing up and doing all this stuff, and I'm gonna be like, we waited a whole season of football with COVID and changing the schedule and doing this and doing that and who can't play to have Tom Brady just shooting out the Chiefs. I will riot in the streets with my mask on because we're responsible.
We're saying I'm blowing up Roger Goodell's phone. I'm like, Roger, I want to repeat. I want the Packers and the Bills because they're gonna figure it out. They're gonna figure it out.
There should be an anti-Super Bowl of Packers Bills, and they play at the same time, and we'll see who tunes into what. All right, I think that I would tune into see the Packers and the Bills.
Because like most tournaments, they have like a third place game. We'll call that the mini bowl, not the Super Bowl. We'll just call it the mini bowl.
Yeah, the mini bowl. Why don't they do that? Like take the runners up from each of the championship games and have them play. Instead of the Pro Bowl.
And then especially this year, you're not having a Pro Bowl. You're just having them on the internet playing Madden. Who wants to see grown men play Madden? I mean, if you're in there in the esports, don't get me wrong. I appreciate it. It's a great business. But the biggest thing I love about, coming to the end of the season is I don't even care about the Pro Bowl. I like the little skills challenge they do on like ESPN. That's my favorite part. And since you're not going to give me that, you're going to give me these athletic people playing on Madden. Come on now. This is equivalent to when the NBA did the whole NBA 2K tournament and like nobody watched and they were trying to figure out why nobody watched. Nobody wants to watch athletic people do things that regular people can do. Nobody wants to see that.
Right. If you're going to have a Madden Pro Bowl, then get professional esport people to come in and play Madden. Like that would probably be a little more entertaining because they're professionals. But like these guys just, they play real football. They're athletes, but they just, my brother could play in the Pro Bowl and play, as whoever Tyreek Hill in a Madden Pro Bowl. It's like crazy. Are we going to stream it on Twitch? Like, how are we going to watch this?
No, girl, it's coming on ESPN. It's coming on ESPN. Like they're taking up time where they can just send the people want to watch. Like they can throw up some gymnastics up there. They can throw up some basketball up there. I mean, but you're going to show these people playing Madden. Come on now.
Yeah, I even said it last night. I was like, oh my God, next week there's no football. There's not even a Pro Bowl on for us to watch. There's going to be Madden on. And I was just like, and then the week after that, we have one more game left and then there's no more football. It's like, I can't remember what I do when football's over. It's so sad.
Exactly. Like football, I would say arguably is one of my favorite sports. And for it not to be on, it's going to be like, because like I like basketball too and I like other sports too, but football, it's a 4-hour game. It takes a long time, so that takes up time of your day. You watch 2 games, that's half the day is gone right there. Basketball, it's over 2 hours max. You still got the rest of your day. Like what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to like read a book? Go garden? Like what am I supposed to do?
You can't go anywhere, can't do anything, can't go watch something in a bar or something. So, yeah, no, I'm trying to figure it out and I can't remember. I think that, the off season gets insane. People start running amok and, going all over the place and getting crazy and getting arrested. And like, those are the things that keep me afloat for the summer. But otherwise, football's coming to an end. And I think that I'm very happy that we had a full season of football this year. I really genuinely thought something was going to go wrong and COVID was really going to take over and we weren't going to have to finish this season. But, props to these players for actually pushing through it and putting themselves at risk, basically.
Yeah.
Some of these guys got COVID. Now they have, this pre-existing condition and everything like that. So I appreciate them for doing this for our benefit. I mean, I know they get paid millions of dollars, but I don't know what we would have done if I went through this winter without football.
Oh yeah. What would have talked about? Me and Sam would have never met.
I know. Yeah, no, we would have never connected and done all this stuff. And the reason why I ended up asking Ashleigh if she wanted to come on the show is because she had responded to about the Lions head coach and how crazy that man is now, and that he was talking about biting off kneecaps and this and that, and just crazy. He's a crazy man.
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, I know when they interviewed this man for this job, it was full on WrestleMania. Like it was body slamming and I'm gonna take the team and we're gonna go and we're gonna shove it to Tom Brady. Tom Brady, who we're gonna bite his head off and we're gonna rip his limbs apart. It was a lot. I was like,
yeah. I when I was I had put something on my Instagram story about how he had like head coach / the dude on his plaque outside his office. I was like, wow, so cool. Like, what a cool guy. He seems so chill. And then like 20 minutes later, the thing came out about his speech. And I was like, okay, so this man is crazy and he's just gonna be crazy for the next year. So we'll see what Dan Campbell has in store for us for the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, Matthew Stafford was like, I'm not putting up with this foolishness. I'm getting out of town.
Yeah, Matt Stafford was like, bye. See you guys later.
I was okay with the new coach. I was fine with him. But when he went up there and he did that interview and he was talking, I'm not biting off no kneecaps. No. Matthew Stafford was like, I'm not doing that. I'd rather go somewhere else but here.
I didn't ask you, who is like your team that you root for?
I don't root for anyone in the NFL. I was a avid Panthers fan, but the Panthers team that I fell in love with, they no longer exist. So, I was like, why get invested when you could just be out here free floating? You could be, I have a lot of favorite players, from, I say one of my favorite running backs, Alvin Kamara, of course. He's out here changing the game, doing things. Stephon Diggs, love him. Justin Jefferson, love him. I have a lot of favorite players and a lot of players that are going to be in the draft this year. Big fans of those too. So if they're on TV and I know they're playing, I'm like, okay, I'll root for your team. I like you.
That seems so nice. I would love to not be a fan of the New York Giants because every year it's just painful. For like the last 10 years, I've just been like every week, like the bye week comes around and I'm like, oh, I can finally breathe. I can't win or lose today. Thank God.
Hey, it's okay. I was with the Panthers from when they had their Super Bowl run,
right.
And then when they had the last awful season, I was so mad when they let go of Steve Smith. I was like, you know what? This is not okay. Luke Kuechly retired. I'll come up here and I'll admit it. I was very avid. I was like, why are we drafting Christian McCaffrey? I never liked Christian McCaffrey when he was in college. I was mad. And I was like, you let go of Stephen Smith. You let go of Jonathan. You let all my favorite people go. And now you brought in this child who plays the piano. And what are we doing? But I mean, Christian McCaffrey knows what he's doing. He's a good running back. But I had to let it go. I still have the merch because I paid for it. And I'll wear it.
Of course. No, I used to love Steve Smith. I loved watching Steve Smith play. He was so funny.
I miss
him. And I'm sure that you were, once Cam Newton started just declining as well, you probably weren't so thrilled about that either.
Oh yeah. I was a big Cam Newton fan in college. Like I'm a humongous Alabama fan, but I was an Auburn fan for Cam Newton. I was definitely an Harvard fan for Cam Newton, but once he left, I was like, okay, well, we'll go back to Bama now.
Yeah. That's really funny. That's how I became like an Oklahoma fan, was because of Baker Mayfield.
Oh,
big
like,
Baker Mayfield
I
fan.
had so much respect for Baker Mayfield when he stuck that flag in the middle of the ground. And then
That's what made me fall in love with him.
Then he's gonna go back and apologize for it. I was like, no, Baker, you can't make big moves like that and then apologize the next day.
I know. And when he did that, I very much dislike Ohio State. So I was just like, oh my God, this man has stolen my heart. And then they were talking about him being the first round pick. And I was like, oh my God, I'm not even a Browns fan, but I'm going to root for them because I love him so much. And I feel like I'm very alone on that. I know a lot of people don't really like Baker Mayfield that much, but I just adore him. Him and Justin Herbert. Love Justin Herbert a lot. I think that he had a great rookie season. 100%. Yeah, he's great. And Josh Allen. I love Josh Allen so much, and he's got so much potential, and he put up MVP numbers this year. Just wasn't enough to bring him to the Super Bowl. But next year, I have high hopes that, Bills Mafia will be smashing more tables than as much as they did this year.
Oh yes, they're like, we didn't smash our tables today, but it's in the storage closet. We're gonna bring it back out and we're gonna light Buffalo up. Then that Niagara Falls is gonna be dry next year because they are going to cause so much fire that they're gonna dry out Niagara Falls.
Yeah, Bills Mafia is something special, and I respect their fans, and I love their team. I love watching Josh Allen. I love watching Stephon Diggs. Very young, very bright future, but yeah, this was very great. I very much enjoy you coming on, and we'll definitely have to have you on again. But before we wrap it up, why don't you let everyone know again where they can find your podcast?
Yes, Her Sports Convo podcast on Instagram, Her Sports Convo. It is on wherever you listen to your podcast at. Every Thursday, I'm up there talking, making funny jokes that most people probably don't laugh at, but I'm so excited for you to have me up here. And if y'all think, you can go over to my own personal channel. I don't post over there, but go over there and take a peek and see a little bit more about me. But thank you, Sam, for having me on. This was so much fun.
Of course. And I appreciate you taking time out of your day to come on. And this was a lot of fun. I can't wait to have you on again. It's gonna be great.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be better.
Of course. All right, everybody, we're going to go back to our regular scheduled podcast programming.
All right, guys, I hope that you all enjoyed that interview with Ashleigh. I know I did. We had a lot of fun doing it. I can't wait to have her on like our off-season talks. I'm bringing back a lot of guests from this season back for off-season talks for sure. It's going to be really fun. I'm super stoked. So obviously, this is a bit of a longer episode. I hope that you guys don't mind. I try to keep it below an hour, or at least an hour, or cut it off right now at, an hour and 17 minutes. But we have juicy gossip to go over, a Let's Talk About It segment, a tweet of the week, and a feel-good story to still go over. So let's get into our segments for today's show. So first things first, people. Let's get into our first segment on the show, and my favorite segment on the show, Tea Time. Tea Time is my favorite segment on the show because we delve into the hot, steamy gossip of the sports world. And this week, ooh boy, I had to do like research on this and get the timeline correct because it is something special. Very, very special. So I believe last year, right when the pandemic started, right when we were in the mix of it all, and things were, we were struggling a bit. I believe that I went over a huge tea time or, whatever timeline of Jay Cutler and his wife, Kristin Cavallari. Jay Cutler, obviously, this is sports related because Jay Cutler used to be in the NFL, and I think that he's a bit of an icon. He was kind of the guy that didn't seem like the most athletic person. He didn't seem like the guy that you would want to have on your team, but also you kind of really did want to have him on your team because he was smoking Jay. He was like, Jay Cutler. So I remember last year we were talking about him being in like Bermuda or the Bahamas or something with his wife, and people were trying to figure out where their kids were, and also they were traveling while the pandemic was starting. So it was very confusing, but I remember doing that. And I also obviously remember naming an episode. I watched an episode of Very Cavallari, so you don't have to. And Very Cavallari, if you guys don't know, is Jay Cutler's now, I suppose, ex-wife's TV show, which I don't think is, after they had announced last year that they were filing for a divorce, I don't think the show is on anymore. But, oh my goodness, they shook up the world, both the pop culture world and the sports world a bit, because they well, I wouldn't say it's an announcement, but they posted, both of them posted the same picture with the same caption on Instagram. Both Kristin Cavallari and Jay Cutler posted a picture of the two of them, and the caption was, let me just pull it up so that I make sure I'm saying it correctly. The caption of this picture of the two of them standing next to each other is, "The world is full of users. 10 years. Can't break that." I have no idea what that means. I don't know if that means they're getting back together. I don't know if they're kind of worked through their issues and they don't hate each other anymore, because apparently there was a lot of stuff going on right after they filed for divorce. That there was, who was dating who and who was getting with what and who was in this other business and yada, yada, yada. Their relationship's a little crazy. It's a little wild. But, so that was posted a few days ago. And after that was posted, oh my goodness, so many things went down. Oh my God. This is such hot tea, because Jay Cutler really just fuels my hot tea. He is the burner that is warming up my water right now, if you will. So he posted this picture with Kristin Cavallari, April of 2020 last year, so it hasn't even been a full year yet. They filed or announced that they were filing for divorce, that they were separating, they would co-parent, whatever. So then a few days before Jay Cutler and Kristin Cavallari put this picture up on the Instagrams, there was pictures taken of Jay Cutler sitting next to a woman, a blonde woman, somewhere, like in a pool or whatever, just chatting, and a lot of people were like, oh, this is flirty Jay, and he's getting with this girl, or whatever. And, it was just a few days before the picture, which is why it even made any news, and everybody was like, oh my God, that's Madison LaCroix from Southern Charm. Now, let me say right now, if you guys are following and you're like, I don't know these people except for Jay Cutler, let me tell you, I don't know who these people are either. I really don't. I don't even know what I think it's a TV show, Southern Charm is. I don't know who Madison LaCroix is. I didn't even know who Kristin Cavallari was until Jay Cutler had this TV show with her. My focus was always on Jay, and the fact that Jay is involved in all this is why we're even talking about it on a sports podcast. So Madison LaCroix, apparently, this is the timeline that I had to look up to then find out all this stuff. Madison LaCroix had an ex-boyfriend named Austin Kroll. Again, have no idea who this man is, but he was seen after Jay and Kristin announced their divorce. He was seen out with Kristin. Again, cool, do your thing, girl, do your thing, dude, like, whatever, I don't care. But then it was seen a few weeks later that Jay Cutler was visiting the hometown of Madison LaCroix. So, whether it was revenge or whatever, or he was interested in her, I don't know. But after these pictures were seen of Jay's ex and Madison's ex together, they decided to then get together and they had a fling. I think that that's not really something that we can just float past. They definitely had something going on between them. He visits her hometown, there's dating rumors, da-da-da-da-da-da. And then she sees this picture of the two of them coming out and saying, like, oh yeah, like, we're gonna make this work, or whatever the heck that caption even means. Nobody even knows what it means. There's been no clarification. We don't even know. I don't know. I have no idea what's going on. But Madison LaCroix wanted to sprinkle a little bit of salt in the wound and decided to leave a comment on that picture and said, I told you it would all work out. Just that in and of itself is petty. But girlfriend pulled out the receipts, posted screenshots of text messages between her and Jay Cutler. All right, she posts them on her Instagram story, which then people obviously screenshot and now have saved forever, including myself. So she posted this one and was asking him, what were you coming here for? Because you didn't tell me anything. And he said, I'm coming to hang out with you. She goes, well, you've got to ask me. He goes, well, I was going to today. And he said, do you want to hang out next weekend? And then in this, if you're watching on the YouTube video, I'll have the screenshots up. But if you're not and you're listening on the podcast, there are obviously like messages from Madison's side that are removed, because then there's 3 text messages back to back from Jay that don't make any sense without a response. So he was saying like he bought a flight yesterday. If that doesn't work, he can change it. And then he's like, perfect. And like, whatever. And then she posted another screenshot. So, thank you if you're still with me right now. I'm fully invested in this. He said it was insinuated and my name was also brought into it, which I didn't appreciate. And she said, Jay, I've done nothing but respect you and your privacy. I respect you and I respect your family. I would never say anything to jeopardize you and your family. And then he said, didn't seem like it was accidental. It was the case. Maybe it was accidental. I don't know. Nobody wants this mess. I appreciate you saying that. I think we can all respect each other and move forward at the very least. And she said, I'm disgusted with this whole situation. You reached out to me. Your intentions may have not been pure, but that might be you projecting. I've never said anything about Kristin, nor would I. I came into this honestly with good intentions. I want no part of being involved in payback or drama, but you initiated and pursued. If you weren't interested in something real, you should have slept with me. I'm assuming that word is covered up, but that's what I'm assuming what that means. And then she finally, to top it all off, posts a selfie with her and Jay Cutler saying, too bad it didn't work out. Okay, now, to unpack all of that, it's obvious there was something going on here. It's obvious that the timelines of whatever Kristin Cavallari is believing Jay Cutler was up to and whatever he believed she was up to aren't matching up. It seems that even while they were in the chats of possibly, reigniting their marriage, not finishing out their divorce, which at this point in time I would be surprised if they are not officially divorced, which would be very weird. And obviously this girl Madison wanted to start something. She wanted to just get in the light a little bit. People are talking about her. I'm talking about her. I don't even know who she is. So to wrap this whole thing up, again, thank you if you are still with me at this point in time. This drama is so outrageous, and the fact that Jay Cutler, the drama that revolves around Jay Cutler and his wife or ex-wife or whoever, Kristin, is impeccable. I know they had a reality series and there's drama in that and this and that. Kristin Cavallari, after they filed for divorce, said, oh yeah, for 2 years, every single day I thought about divorce. Really, for 2 years, every single day you thought about divorcing Jay Cutler. That is crazy. I'm perplexed that she would let it get that far. I don't know. I don't know the woman. I don't know their relationship. I don't want to pass judgment on things that I don't know anything about. But this whole situation is weird. There has been no clapback from Jay Cutler or Kristin Cavallari about this whole thing. It's kind of ended with Madison throwing all this stuff out into the air, people grabbing at it and just analyzing the whole thing, trying to figure out, I can never get into the fact that some people go back and look at pictures and they're like, oh, well, I see this one fingernail in the corner of the picture and it looks like Madison's I can't deal with that. But again, while making this episode longer than it should be, I'm going to wrap this tea time up. If there's any other things happening with Jay Cutler, I will definitely update you all because this is insane. But that's gonna wrap it up for our tea time this week. Then we have our Let's Talk About It segment. So another bit of, I wouldn't say as high as drama as what I just talked about, but a little bit more. A little bit. So this week on our Let's Talk About It segment, we are going to talk about A.J. Brown, the wide receiver of the Tennessee Titans. Yeah, so Sam, why are we going to talk about A.J. Brown this week? Let me tell you, okay? First of all, this man was hurt. He had to get surgery on both of his knees, I believe, at the same time. And what came out of it was that AJ Brown went on Instagram Live right after his operation, which I have never gotten an operation before. I have never been put on, I've never been on anesthesia, nothing like that. So I can't vouch for how this man was feeling, but from the people I know that have, it's, you're loopy and you're feeling funny and like doing all this stuff. And this man went on Instagram Live and just started spewing stuff out of his mouth. Just crazy, random things. He was talking about how he's the best wide receiver in the league and all this stuff. And the nurse is there. If you haven't watched this Instagram Live, very easy to find. Just Google AJ Brown Instagram Live, click on an article, and it'll have it in there. Very funny. So you can tell he's obviously still on, whatever drugs that they gave him. And she's like, hey, I'm going to give you a Coke. She hands him a Coke. He takes a sip of it and he's like, oh my God, that was cold. And she's like, well, your throat's probably irritated from the tubes we put down your throat. And he's like, you guys put tubes down my throat? And you can, he's just amazed by that. And then he goes on to say, his nurse is asking him all these questions. She's like, who's picking you up? How are you getting home? And he's like, my dad's picking me. My dad's here. And she's like, should we go get him? And he's like, no, he's gonna record me. And I'm like, AJ, you're on Instagram Live with almost 1,000 people watching you. You're the one recording yourself. But she was like, okay, don't worry. We'll just let him know when you're ready and we'll bring him down, or we'll bring you down to him. And he's like, okay. And then just with no context at all, he just goes, Derrick Henry, King Henry. It's hilarious. It really is just so funny. And then he went on to say that the team told him he was done week 2 and he continued to play through the entire season and in the playoffs. And that's just bonkers to think about. The fact that they shared with AJ Brown that he shouldn't play football since week 2. That's the entire season, dude. That's the entire season. You played on 2 bad knees. Props to you. Really. Just insane. I don't want to go too far into this. I just think it's hilarious that AJ Brown. Oh, and then he puts out a tweet, which I will pull up right now, which is also very funny. He tweets out that he was apologizing because I guess the Titans organization were probably like, dude, what are you doing? Why are you high on Instagram Live? So he decided to put out an apology tweet, and now I'm not going to be able to find it, which I'm upset about. But basically he was like, I'm so sorry that I did that. It was embarrassing. I know you guys thought it was funny, but it wasn't funny to me. And da-da-da-da-da. And then he ends off the tweet by saying, this is all the nurse's fault, by the way. Just straight up, no, not even a little bit oh yeah, no, I feel like maybe the nurse should have said something to me. I shouldn't have done that. And he was like, no, this is the nurse's fault. She definitely shouldn't have let me do that. And I'm like, that is so funny. Just throwing the nurse under the bus like that, AJ. Just hilarious. Just really great. And overall, again, I'm ranting, but that's our let's talk about it for this week. Was that I just wanted to talk about AJ Brown and his weird Instagram Live. It's, again, highly recommend watching it. Very funny. Okay, tweet of the week. Our tweet of the week this week. Usually my tweet of the weeks are kind of funny. I try to find funny tweets from athletes or reporters or anybody really. But this week, I don't know who this man is that I picked his tweet. I'll give him props though. Mark Sessler, that's his @ put out this very interesting tweet about just years down the line. And I'll just read it to you. So he said, if Patrick Mahomes reaches the Super Bowl at Tom Brady's age, we will be watching him during Super Bowl 73 in February 2039. Just process that for a second. We just made it out of 2020. If Patrick Mahomes is Tom Brady's age at the age of 43 at this point and playing in a Super Bowl, it'll be Super Bowl 73 and the year 2039. I don't even know how old I'm going to be in 2039. Let's do fun things here. Let's make myself feel old to see if that ends up happening. How old will I be in 2039? 43! Oh my god, right, I'm the same age as Patrick Mahomes. Oh my god, I'm so stupid. I am the same age as Patrick Mahomes. I totally forgot about that. Yeah, I'll also be 43. And that's disgusting to think about. So that's our tweet of the week this week. Just a fun little tidbit of information I thought I'd share with you all. All right, we've been going on for quite some time here. Let's end off our show with our feel-good story of the week, and we'll wrap things up. So this week, our feel-good story of the week, which I'm sure many of you guys have heard about by now, the Super Bowl is allowing 22,000 people in, which is super exciting. You know, fans at the Super Bowl, it would be weird if there weren't any. So there's going to be 22,000 people at the Super Bowl, but out of those 22,000 people, 7,500 of them will be vaccinated healthcare workers, and they're giving them the tickets and allowing them to go to the Super Bowl to show, I'm sure they'll also kind of help portray, like, being vaccinated is not a scary thing. Don't be afraid to get vaccinated. Like, you know, this is, you know, our healthcare workers who've been taking care of us over the past year, basically, just out here being vaccinated, and we want to repay them, and they're giving them free Super Bowl seats, which is really great, especially because of the financial deficit that the NFL has taken this year. They definitely could have used all 22,000 people's money, but instead 7,500 of those people will be vaccinated healthcare workers. So really great stuff. And that is our feel-good story of the week this week, and that is going to do it for our show, everybody. Don't forget to subscribe on all podcasting platforms, as well as our YouTube channel, and follow us on social media at TGWTS Podcast, both on Twitter and on Instagram. Everybody, I hope that you all have a fun, fantastic sports-filled day, and that please be safe, please wear your mask, please wash your hands, and I will see you guys all next week for our pre-Super Bowl episode. Bye!